Hello and welcome everybody to today's episode. I am very excited to have this guest on for episode 23. Michael Boyd is a student, a first mate, and the main reason that I got him on is he is also an underwater videographer. And I came across him on Instagram, and his videos are just an absolute marvel. I'm so glad that I've got him on the podcast. Everyone give him a warm welcome, Michael Boyd.
Well, thank you for having me. This is my first podcast ever, and it's exciting. All new experiences. I'm glad the the underwater videos are making people happy. And yeah, I'm Michael Boyd. I'm from California.
Right. Well, like I said in the intro there, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. It is, I flick through, it must be hundreds, if not 1,000 reels a day, searching for new people to get on the podcast and people that I find super interesting and just what I come across. I don't care about their following. I mean, I'm currently talking to a lad that's got 100 followers. Like, no one really follows him, but I think his story is amazing. I want him to tell more people, and he'll grow himself, and so will I. In turn, it's a give and take in this world, I think, and this is probably the best thing I've ever done because I get to speak to people like yourself. So the original, the first video that I ever came across of yours was the My Good Time Boy. Like, that video is it's got the perfect audio for it. It is just amazing. As soon as I saw it, and I was like, has this guy got a pet seal? Like that obviously, then I was just like, I need to have a click and have a look through some of his videos. And yeah, like, well, you taught me through it, because obviously I'm just seeing it through the camera lens. It must be insane to live it.
It's just there's this one snorkel spot in Orange County, and it's in like Laguna. The seals are all over. I've seen them in La Jolla, San Diego, Laguna Beach, and they just love this one little area that I go. And the kelp, usually the past few years, our kelp has been kind of dying off, not that healthy. But the last winter, the water was really cold, and I think that helped with the kelp growth, and it kept the kelp forest there longer. So the seals like love that little area. It's a fun little area for them to just kind of float up to the surface and get their breath, bask in the sun. So I was just snorkeling, and I looked for these things called Celt Fish, giant kelp fish. They're like really pretty colors. There's like red, green, yellow. They essentially just blend in, so you can really only see them when they're moving. And I just felt like a little tug on my leg, and I was like, all right, this is either another snorkeler or probably a seal or a sea lion telling me to get out, turn around, and I see that guy, little, I think it's a male, I'm not sure. I really need to figure that out. And he's just super curious in my fin. And I know, like, once you get that interaction, you can't really do any fast movements. The Marine Mammal Protection Act that we have here in the States, I think it was 1972, the Marine Mammal Protection Act kind of protects like whales, dolphins, pinnipeds, cetaceans. Pinnipeds are like sea lions and seals and stuff. You can't interact with them. I never touch them. You never pursue them. You never chase them. So you just kind of float there limp, and whatever that seal wants to do, it's gonna do. Except if it starts showing signs of aggression, then like that's your sign to remove yourself from the area. And they have these cute little nails on their front little flippers, pectoral fins, maybe you can call them, but they love to scratch. They're super tactile. They're social. And he was just curious. He was just scratching at my fin, bopping me with his nose. And he just kept doing this. And they love following you. They're kind of like cats. They only want attention on their terms. So once they investigate you, this one specifically does a twirl a lot of the time. So he'll like twirl, and when he's done, so I'm like, okay, now I can resume my snorkeling. I'll dive down and I'll see, because my goggles have the windows on the sides. I'll see like the figure of something, and I'll look over, and sure enough, there he is, just peeking through the kelp, trying to see what I'm trying to look at. And if it's like lobsters or sheephead, he'll come over, look at what I'm looking at, look at me, and he'll just do this like 3 takes and then zoom off away. So it's amazing.
So for you, on in that instance, flip it to him. What do you think he thinks, or how you fit into the ecosystem in the water?
I think that area is heavily trafficked with like snorkelers and just beachgoers. So he already knows that we're not a threat. So if I was on like some random island and these seals never saw me before, I feel like they'd also be curious but more cautious because they don't know if I'm a threat or not yet.
So do you always get the same reaction with him, and does he react differently to you to other people?
I've only seen him out there one time with other people. People chase him. I like tell him not to. You're not. It's like illegal. But once he starts getting chased, he removes himself from the area.
When you say chase, how fast can a seal swim? Surely he can swim a
These
lot
things
quicker
can
than.
do like bursts of. I'm pretty sure like faster than like all my marine naturalist friends are gonna correct me, but like at least faster than 15 knots. Like they can zoom so fast. They're like little torpedoes. They steer with their like upper flippers,
Yeah.
and they propel themselves with their rear flippers.
Yeah. When you say people are chasing them, though, there's no real expectation they're going to ever catch a
They're
seal.
not going to
Oh,
catch them. They're just trying to like look at. They're like so captivated they want to look at it more. So
yeah.
he'll go that way. They'll like go that way, and they're at the surface, right? So they're kicking, causing all this noise and bubbles and commotion. And for a seal, that's not comfortable. So they're just out of there.
Yeah. Diving out. Yeah. So the Celt fish, that was another one actually that I obviously flicked onto with them, because my granddad was a very keen fisherman, very keen fisherman. Always had a rod in his hand. My dad, if so, me and my brothers don't do none of it. So it sort of died out in the family. So I knew what a Celt fish was. I'd heard it before. Do you know what I mean? But I had no idea what it was until I saw your video, and then I was like, oh, it disguises itself as kelp.
Exactly. Yeah, and there's like varieties of them. So like they'll come like disguise themselves as like the red algae that grows down there or the green eelgrass, and it's just amazing how they can match the patterns of their surroundings so well.
Yeah. How do they fix their self down?
This is cool. Okay, I don't know what these little things are called, but right underneath their so like here's their chin, and then right underneath that, like right before their belly, there's these 2 prongs. And if you watch the videos, you can see them engage those prongs, and they essentially just grab on to the like algae and kelp around them in the eelgrass, and they just hold on tight. When they're holding on to stuff and there's a lot of surge, you can just see them flip, flop. And when they do that, sometimes it will give a shine, and that also gives them away when I'm looking for them. So those little prongs, they just hold on for dear life. Like when the waves are big, they can just they push through, and there's like 4 foot sets coming, and they can hold on through those sets, and I'm just getting like tossed.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was. You could see how turbulent the water was, and yeah, and they were just sort of flopping side to side. And I showed my daughter actually. She's 12, and I'm really pushing her hard with her education and stuff. And I said, look at how quick that water's moving. Like that must be have that. It's got to have something on it, whether it's a suction or whatever it is, to to hold it there, because it's staying dead still. It wasn't like it was swaying, in the water with it. It's got to obviously match the kelp. So, yeah, but that's insane. What an evolutionary thing to happen for it to evolve like that. And then you've got the inspecting the pockets.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah,
So the
was that the same seal?
that was the same seal. This local lady out there gave him a name, and his name's Onyx, because he's like deep black, and he's got those little white rings, which I think Onyx is a beautiful name, but I didn't know that was his name. So initially, I just called him Mr. Cuddles because of his behavior. Um, so I like to go down and I don't really have a weight belt, so I just kind of blow out all my air to lose buoyancy, go down as deep as I can, and I just grab on to a rock that doesn't have much like growth on it, because even like the smallest bit of algae is home to little critters. So I just grab on like a barren rock, hold myself down, and I look for like lobsters, sheephead, all that fun stuff, kelp fish, and then I just like he just zoomed over me like a plane, came down and just started doing his little finger thing on my pockets. I'm like, all right, now he's interested in my swim trunks. I let him do his thing, and then when I run out of air, I just kind of let go and just passively float up. And that's when I float up, he'll like grab onto my leg and use me as like an elevator, because he's a mammal, so he needs to breathe too. So he'll float up with me, and then I get my breath. He like goes a little bit of like 5 feet down the kelp line, and he gets his breath, and we like catch our breath together. But of course, he can hold it 20 times longer than me, probably like 50 times longer than me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So when you're exhaling, to get to lose your buoyancy, how long are you staying under there after your exhale?
Um, so I take my deep breath, I go down, I pressurize, and I'm like kicking down, so I'm countering the buoyancy. Then once I get to the spot I like, I'll just slowly let out air, so I'm not like floating up, or if the rock's not heavy enough, I can do like maybe not much, not like a minute is my cornerstone or my average. I really need a weight belt. I just don't have one. I'm kind of like I don't free dive, but I just go down and try to stay down.
Yeah. Obviously, the weight belt would make you descent a lot quicker. Um, yeah. Oh, that's cool. Right. Yeah. I just thought that. Well, how long have you been doing this for then?
I've been snorkeling like pretty much since I was like 10. I love it, but I like the whole point or the whole start of me going underwater more just came from like meeting people and stuff. I was a surfer first, so I was like above the surface, and I would always see things as I'm paddling out. On a really clear day, you can see like our California state fish, the Garibaldi. So I'd paddle out, be like, "Oh wow, the visibility is amazing today." Have my surf, and then so and so. I did that for years, and then I like met someone that she was like specifically she worked a lot of jobs. Like she did whale watching, like Ocean Institute stuff, like aquarium stuff, marine mammal rescue, and she was like showing me stuff that she saw underwater. All the fish she was like the one that introduced me to kelp fish, and I was like, holy crap, there's that much under our surface, and I've just been like surfing on top of it this whole time. Yeah, she like showed me the whole underwater housing thing. You can just use your phone. Like the barrier to entry now is your phone and like a $200 case. Like that's all you need. And like snorkel, sure, goggles, fins, wetsuit, maybe depending on where you are. I don't know how cold the water is over there.
Hmm.
But yeah, she essentially showed me what's under the surface, and super grateful for that, because when I go down there, it's just like I'm removed from land problems, and I'm just floating weightless in the water, just seeing this whole. It almost feels like space because you're seeing so much. So like, especially if you focus on a small little patch, that's what I kind of do. I'll look at a small like 5 foot by 5 foot patch, and just like let my eyes look for movement, and that's how you see all like the kelp fish camouflage. Sometimes you'll see a round stingray just on the sand floor, a halibut camouflage, and you'll see like the Garibaldi being territorial, fighting each other, the kelp bass coming in to see like if there's any food, and like the seal just coming over to check you out. But there's just so much underwater, and I didn't really focus on that until after I met that person.
Yeah. When you say about being removed from the on land problems, I could not agree more with you. I think that that is one of the root causes of a lot of the issues in the societies today, or especially on social media. Because I play football and I've started playing for a relatively good team now for my level of fitness that I'm currently at. And they're hungry to play football, and so am I now. And when I'm on that pitch, I am only thinking about football. There is nothing else in, like, it doesn't matter what's going on in the other 21 lads' lives that are running around that pitch. during that time, the only thing they're thinking about is that leather ball. And I think too many people don't have an outlet like that in their, in their outside, like, as a hobby or anything like that. I think that's why there's a lot of this sort of stuff on social media where it's, shouty and I'm right, you're wrong, and all the rest of it. But when you look at it, a lot of it is just for social media, and people know that it is, because I've never ever been in a supermarket and seen a vegan shouting at someone buying a steak. I've never seen it, but yet you see it on YouTube all the time.
Right.
People go mad at people and that, and I just don't think it happens in 99% of reality. But yeah, sorry, I got on a bit of a tangent then, but that is, I think everyone needs that break from reality.
Yeah, for me it was like like finals, tests and stuff. Nursing school, just I got big waves of imposter syndrome. I was like, can I do this? Should I do this? I know I want to do it, but can I do it? High school, I was like a CB student, nothing to write home about. College, got it up to like B's and A's. And then now they're like all A's because I'm actually really passionate about nursing and the courses I'm taking and the students in my cohort. But there's still that like ounce of imposter syndrome that kind of follows me around. And then when I go out in the water, I don't have to think about it. I just think about finding cool critters underneath the surface, not getting too cold, and just I pick up a lot of trash too. It's almost like a treasure hunt. I found like iPhones, watches, tons of fun stuff, but it's all like technically trash. So I remove it. I actually returned a dude's phone like half a year ago. It was still working. It was pretty cool.
No,
Yeah.
how did that go about then? There's a story there.
Sorry for the cough.
That's all right.
This was down in San Diego. You know those little bags people put their phone in with the lanyard and they wear them around like a necklace?
Yeah, the waterproof things, yeah.
Yeah, they usually take them to water parks. I was snorkeling and there's this area with a lot of leopard sharks. And I saw like this, I don't have anything to show you, but it was like the lanyard and it was floating up. So I went over and I immediately knew what it was. So I start digging at the sand, and the leopard sharks are so used to like snorkelers and stuff. They're just doing their thing. They're really pretty, docile sharks, and they go to like warmer waters to gestate. A lot of the females do. So they're just kind of like in the background. I'm like digging and I finally get it and I pull it out and I hit the lock button and it turns on. It's got like 80% battery. So I know this thing was lost like either today or yesterday. I get out of the water. And the only way I was able to return it is because the person used first and last names for their contacts. So like everyone was texting that phone and I was able to locate them through Facebook and be like, hey, do you know this person? Do you know this person? I have their phone. It's in great condition. Here's where I live. Like, you come to me. I'm not gonna. Gas is expensive, so you come to me and get your phone back. And they actually only live like 40 minutes away, and they showed up and we said our highs. And the person already he already bought a new phone the next day. He actually lost it. So he lost it on a Saturday. I found it on a Sunday. They're doing a little staycation. And I guess like he bought a new phone the next morning, and then I texted them at like they came at like 10 a.m. So like 2 hours after he bought his new phone, he got his old phone back in perfect condition. And he was like, well, I guess I'll keep it for a backup. And I'm like, well, at least you got all the photos, because he didn't use iCloud to back anything up. So that's what he was most worried about.
Yeah. I had an exact same scenario the other day. I took the kids out for a walk. Obviously, it's on the land, not in the sea. And there was just randomly a phone on the floor in the field. And I said to my daughter, I said, go and pick that up. I said, see what with it, because she's more techie than I am. And she went straight onto it, emergency, medical ID, straight to the phone contacts. Boom. Oh, yeah, there's a number here, Dad, we can ring. So I rang him. Oh, yeah, that's my mum's phone. She lives here. I was nice enough to drop it off, though. But that was only because she was on our walk. I didn't have to drive anywhere, because you are correct. Petrol is very steep at the minute.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I've got a diesel and it's still absolutely crucifying me. So yeah, we were on a walk and but she got it back. And it was the same again with her. She was like a 69-year-old lady. So she didn't have nothing backed up on it. So she was very, very grateful for me to get it back to her.
That's awesome. Saving memories.
Yeah, 100%. Because I know how dear my phone is to me. Like I've got everything on there. Obviously, I've been contacting you through it. I've got all my other guests, and I've got recordings on there that are solely on there at the minute. Because I'm just going for a big backup on it, like with another external hard drive. So I've got two bases. But yeah, like I'd be ruined without my phone if I lost it all.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
it'd be brutal. And then as well on one of your videos, there's I'm sure on a few of the videos there's quite a few fish that I have no idea what they are. But one of them that got me was the Spanish shoal nudibranch.
Oh, that thing. See, I did the way you pronounced it, funny story. So that person that introduced me to the underwater world, or
Yeah.
showed me all the cool things that exist, and she actually showed me the whale watching industry too. I was working in the ER at the time. Sorry, this is a tangent, but I was working in the ER, and I'm making like a little bit above minimum wage. And I see we're like hanging out, and I see all these like tips she's getting, and I'm like, oh my god, like that's awesome. Like what are your duties as a naturalist or mate on your whale watching boat? And she explains, and I'm like, that sounds like the best job ever. So when I got into nursing school, I was like, I want to do that. So in my area in San Diego, I found a company that does whale watching, but it's only like seasonal. So I got hired on in December. I just worked through dinner cruises, booze cruises, stuff I wasn't passionate about at all, but I know I was getting my sea time for my captain's license and experience to apply to other whale watching companies. And I met some great people while I was there. And then they started their gray whale season. Amazing. I met some of like the best first mates ever. And shout out to this first mate, Jaden. They were amazing. They taught me everything. And Scotty. They taught me how to like handle lines, how to not get my finger cut off by the cleat in the line. And we saw all these amazing whales. The captains were great, gave me all their knowledge. And then I came back up to Orange County area, which is just north of San Diego, because I didn't want to pay rent. So at the old man's house, I'd rather pay tuition than rent. And in this area, I used that experience to apply to whale watching in this area. And I honestly, I just forgot what the tangent. Can you remind me what my tangent was? The nudibranch. Sorry, the nudibranch. Yeah. So I used the experience to get a job here, but like before, all that fun stuff, I went with that girl to the Pacific Northwest in like Washington area, like San Juan Islands, and she was talking with everyone on the boat because like she's super knowledgeable. And then I forgot what we were talking about, but I kind of like butt in and I'm like, yeah, like this nudibranch was amazing. And then after she's like, it's actually pronounced nudibranch. And I said it like in front of people and I was like, oh wow. Like that was bad. That was terrible pronunciation.
People that know.
Yeah, they were all like they call them like whale nerds. So they're very knowledgeable in pronunciation and everything. And I was just like confident. I was like, that nudibranch was awesome. And no one corrected me until after.
Too polite. So it's called a nudibranch.
Nudibranch, yeah. So Spanish shawl nudibranch. That thing is an alien. There's a whole bunch of them with different colors, and that's another thing I look for. They could be so small, you'll miss them. But thankfully, sorry.
How big was that one that is in the picture? Because there's nothing to gauge it off of.
That one was like the size of kind of like the last joint on your fingertip. So like
of your index finger.
Yeah, of your index finger. So not big.
Oh, not
yeah, they have those bright colors. I guess researchers think the bright colors are to deter animals, to make the animals think that the nudibranchs are poisonous. I'm not sure if some of them are. I really need to look into that so I learn. But they're cool. It's so funny how they swim. They just fold in, fold out, fold in, fold out.
Yeah, it's mad. To start with, you think it's just I don't know, a piece of a flower, I suppose, that's just sort of thing. And yeah, I don't know whether it's that, whether they appear to animals to be unedible for whatever reason, just for lack of nutrient, as well as maybe poisonous. It's just a fascinating creature. Like you say, it is completely what's in the ocean is I was reading something the other day. Is it right that we've only discovered or we've only mapped or whatever sort of 5% of the ocean?
I know for sure we don't have it all figured out when it comes to the like certain areas of the ocean and like depth, and there's still new species to discover. So with that, I think you're right. Yeah, there's like we don't know that much. We
Yeah,
know more about the moon, I think.
I think it's very very low. I think it's like we've searched 5% of the ocean or something.
Yeah, we've polluted like 100%.
Yeah, yeah, with the oil spills and stuff. Um, yeah, that's crazy. So you mentioned then obviously that you're training to become a captain.
Right.
How's that going?
That is a long process. You need 720 days of sea time. I've got like almost 200 now, I guess. But there's different types of licenses that allow you to drive or operate different boats. So if I get these, I call it like the entry license, but no one else does. It's called the six pack license. You only need 360 days, I believe. So that would be the first one I get. And that one only lets you take six passengers. So you're limited on like passenger size. So with your company, you'll only probably do a couple trips a week because you're doing the private charters where it's like a whole family coming out and it's just you and the family. You don't need like a first mate or anything. But once you go over six passengers and you're at seven passengers, then you need a mate. And if the boat's bigger, like you need like a 25-ton license for certain boats, 50-ton, 100-ton. They're like called master's license. Some captains I knew had an unlimited, and those are like the massive ships that do cargo, like car carriers and stuff. So it's a very deep industry with a lot of room to grow if someone wants to like ever become a boat captain.
Yes. So you just touched on it there. When you talk about them, them big cargo ships, they are some, big old fellas. How long would you have had in the saddle to captain one of them?
I wish I knew. Because I'm only focused on like the smaller boats for whale watching, so that's as far as my knowledge really goes. But I can't even imagine how many days you need for those unlimited captain's license.
Because yeah, that seems because
Yeah, working in San Diego Bay, it's you see the car carriers come from like Asia or Japan and Korea and stuff, and they are just absolutely they're like skyscrapers on their side just coming in.
yeah, and it's the like because it's an insane amount to stop as well, isn't it? If they've got to stop, it's like
Right.
it's like
And
kilometers that they take to stop.
before those big ships come in, I believe there's a pilot that knows the bay, knows like the underwater contours where the shallow spots are, where the deep parts are, and that pilot gets taken out to that ship to navigate it in because like it's not the same captain that brings the boat in. It's got to be that pilot for that bay because they know the bay like top down.
Ah, right. I never knew what that was or how that happened. I was just like, what the hell, these captains that go all over the place? It just must be.
Yeah, you can stay in one bay, and if you're like the pilot for that bay, you just drive a whole bunch of different ships, and you get them in safely to that bay, and you get to stay in one spot. You don't have to like travel the world and leave your friends and family.
Yeah, you literally. That's like the ideal job, isn't it? I suppose because you're getting to do.
Yeah, once you have kids, right?
Yeah, because you can then do ships, do what your dream is. You know what I mean? You ride ship, drive ship still, but yeah, you're home every night.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's well, I suppose. How would that work though? Because would you? I take it ships come in 20. I'm literally, I don't do anything to do with the sea, so this is how sort of empty-headed I am towards that. A bit of an ape. Um, I take it. Obviously, ships come in the bay, morning, noon, and night. So you would have it's constantly manned, 24-hour manned.
San Diego Bay, luckily, is not like a major port for goods. It's a port for bulk cargo. So like weird objects that can't fit in the storage containers will come in and car carriers. There's like a car carrier offloading site. So because of that, we're not like Los Angeles or Long Beach where we get the massive tankers coming in and cargo ships. We'll get one every couple days, but the car carriers have a pretty strict schedule, and it's pretty funny because the Dole ship comes in from South America carrying all the bananas and flowers and fruits and stuff, and their schedule's like Monday, Friday, or something. It's like it's not every day, so there's days where you don't see the big ships out there. You see the naval fleet, the warships are always out. So it's cool to see like aircraft carriers and all the destroyers coming in and out.
Yeah. So is the aim for you to end up with your own boat, or you're only ever going to want a captain?
I'd probably stay with the company I'm at just because of the people and the culture and the emphasis on conservation. Those big ships, like they do a lot of good, such as like bringing in food and all that fun stuff, bringing cars over. But they also hit a lot of whales. A lot of whale strikes happen with those big ships, and they're trying to, I guess, move the shipping highway out of the whale highway, just to reduce whale strikes. So, I mean, I say they're cool to like see come in, but there are a lot of downfalls of those big ships. But back to my company, yeah, I just absolutely love it. I'll probably stay with my company. You know what they say, like buying your own boat. That's like the biggest hit of money you can get, because they'll just have problems and stuff. When you work for a company and like your operations team is great, you work with them to make sure all the boats are maintained. And if something breaks, you have like 20 people fixing it instead of just you. And they have like a lot more licensing and permits, and you can bring more passengers depending on your license. So I'd probably stay with a company.
Nice. Is that the usual sort of trajectory for the job, like you would get with a
A
company
lot of
then
people
today?
branch out. They branch out and they do their own thing. They get their own little like 30-foot and under boat, and they get their six-pack license, and that's where they stop because they want their boat, their call. There's a lot of people that do extended tours, like 8-hour whale watching. Like you get on the boat at 9 and you get off at 5, which is rough, but you can see so much more. With a lot of our other companies around here, they'll do 2 hours to like 2.5 hours. So you're limited with time, and the bigger the boat, usually the slower it goes. So if you see a spout like 3 miles out, and you know your boat can only do like 12 knots, and you got to be back at the dock in an hour, um, you might not get to that whale, depending if it's moving. But if it's feeding, you might get to it. But when you have your own boat, you see the spout, you have your own boat, you know it can go like 40 knots. You're going to get to that whale and get like a guaranteed sighting for your passengers.
Yeah. So is it quite it must be a dog eat dog world in the sort of whale action.
I feel like that might have been a thing in the past, but a lot of the companies now work together. Like they're all on the radio. They'll be like, "Hey, we have a whale at these coordinates. I'm about to switch off, and then can someone else come up and stay with it? That way, when I get my new passengers, I can meet you." So it's like you kind of like stick to the whale safely, though. You know, keep your distance 100 yards, and that way, when that other company comes with new people, they get to see the whale too. Then you go unload, reload, and then come back, and then it's just the rotation begins.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's a lot better mentality because it means that everyone guarantees everyone else's success
Right.
rather than looking out for yourself and going at it alone. Um, so what if you could tell anyone that's starting, doing reels now or whatever they are doing in life, what advice would you give them?
For the reels, this is what I do. I don't know if it's advice, but it's what I do. If I go to the explore page and I like my friends sending me really funny like animal reels and stuff, and the audio is just so funny or just really pretty, like piano music or orchestrated music, or just a really funny song or a song from one of the artists I like, I save the audio, like save and forget. So I save the audio, and then I just go about my day, and then I'll go snorkeling, record a video, come home, watch the video, and I'm like, I wonder if I have any saved audios that will pair with this well. So I, set the reel up, look in my audio tab and I just play through them. And once you get that gut feeling when they connect well, that's it. I add the audio and post. That's my process. I just save from the explore page or reels that people send me or I send them, and then I pair it with a clip that I recorded and see if it works.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about releasing your own audio in it?
I literally don't know how. Like that's how new I am to reels. So
No.
I know you can like upload stuff, but I don't know how the copyright claims work. I don't want to like have audio that has a claim or a copyright, save it and post it illegally. You know, so I need to educate myself in that area.
Yeah. 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 Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I see that timer ticking down. It's like a
Don't worry
time
about
bomb.
that. Again, we can just press the button again and start the 40 minutes. Don't worry about that.
Well, if a lot of people ask me when they're on the boat, they're like, "How do I work here? How do I get a job like this?" Like it could see like there's a big barrier to entry to like the whale watching industry, but if you're passionate about animals and protecting them, whether it's like even the sea lions, the seals, the cetaceans, even like the small little fish down to like a kelp bass, you can just like whale watching companies are a lot more welcoming than like your normal commercial corporate HR company. Like the people interviewing you there are going to be a lot more stricter in terms. Whale watching companies, they're like they see your energy. Sure, you might not have experience, but if you like are passionate about it, more than welcome to like come on interview. That's essentially what I did. I still feel like I didn't have experience when I applied. I had experience with bigger ships, but this whale watching job, I just essentially showed how passionate I am and how I want to help with the conservation. And I think that's what helped me get the position rather than my past work experience. Because you can work on like a sport fishing vessel, and if you're like a fisherman, um, you're not really too focused on the whales. You can just show up and be like, "Yeah, I know how to tie lines. Like I know how to pump out the boat, gas up the boat." Sure, they might hire you if they need you, but they really want that passion, like conservation mindset for the whales.
Yeah. Yeah. What is your favorite whale?
The gray whale,
Gray
it's
whale.
like the gray whale. Yeah, they come from Alaska all the way down to like the calving lagoons in Mexico. And they're just so cute. They have all these little spots on them from like sea lice, and they look like mottled, like gray and white spots. And they just do a massive journey, and they always get themselves into trouble, whether it's like entanglements, ship strikes, or boaters harassing them, because they have the same highway each year. So a lot of boaters can predict when they're coming. Um, they're just soldiers, they push through it there and back. And when they get back to Alaska with their babies, there's like a wall of orcas waiting for them. Or even Monterey Bay, like those killer whales, like they love the baby gray whales.